And repeat the question, please.
You're either with
Santino, you're going to have to repeat
genocide.
it. He doesn't understand. He doesn't understand women.
I,
Santino,
I
repeat it. Is either against
well,
genocide or
well,
it's
I
for
just said I'm
Yeah,
genocide.
against
there's
genocide.
no in the
For
middle.
what?
But then,
What is
then
the
you
Like
can't
middle?
I'm
be
not
in bed
like
with the genocidal. That's it.
with all due respect, Said, I'm not a parent, so of course, I mean, you heard the question. It was very loud and clear. Everybody in the space heard the question. It's either near or there. Which
Well, I
one is
just
it?
well, first of all, I didn't hear the question. That's why I said, well,
Well,
what's the
I heard it
question
loud and
again?
clear.
Well,
I
I'm
heard it
not
loud and
you. I'm
clear.
not you, though. I'm talking about myself. I'm not talking about you. I didn't hear the question. Therefore, that's why I said, what's the
There's like
question?
a
Yeah, he's
cloud. I
ignoring
did not with
he's ignoring
No,
her
I'm
land because he thinks
answering.
she's
I
talking
don't
from
ignore.
because
Khaleesi,
Well, I'm
she
I
gonna
think
she
answer
this
said
it.
is what you've been seeing
Let,
online,
let me
right?
let
Like,
me
so
let
this
no
me
no.
finish.
whole
Saeed thinks you're talking from little
Why is
Mogadishu,
everyone
Well,
so
dying
he's
first of all,
amongst
ignoring
you? Let
first
you.
him
of all,
talk.
I am against genocide, and the first thing I started with, I don't condone what is happening to the Palestinians. I hope they have their own state. I'm against the violence that Israel is perpetrating. I'm clear on that. I'm not. I'm not hiding. I'm against what's happening to the Palestinians. I think it is a genocide, and I'm loud and clear. But Hodan and her ilk, they don't condone. They don't condemn the Isaac genocide. They're actually happy with it.
I do
Most of their.
condemn the
Well, first of all,
atrocities that were committed. I just said that. Don't put words into my
first of all,
mouth.
I'm against genocide. I said that. I am
so
not. I'm
finally,
not
so finally, you answered the question. You are against
exactly.
genocide. Thank you.
What,
See how easy that was?
what, what, well, I said I didn't hear the question, and that's why I said what was the question. It wasn't me dodging the question. Maybe that's what you think I was doing, but that's not what I was actually doing. I'm going to conclude with this. Somaliland
So
has the right.
Said, can I ask you a question if that's okay?
Yeah, yeah, go ahead.
And guys, it just if you could do me a favor, retweet the space. I can see a lot of people requesting now. We are gonna try and get as many people up here as possible. We are trying to hear everybody's side on this as well. So do, and if you do want to come up and you think you've got something important to say, or you're like, you're part of some important organization or whatever, send me a message and I'm reading the messages and I'll bring you up. Say the question to you is about the point about, and I think your tweet kind of articulates the kind of concern that people have, because you basically said that even if the devil was to recognize Somaliland, and do you mean that, for example, you would do a deal with the devil for Somaliland, or do you mean that if the devil was to say, "Oh, I'm okay with Somaliland," that's irrelevant to you because for you it's about whether there should be a Somaliland? So is it the former or is it the latter? And then I've got another question once you answer that.
Well, first of all, that tweet is based on actually on a hadith from Abu Huraira, whether people like it or not, where the devil comes to, or Satan, whatever they call it, comes to Abu Huraira, he lies to him, he catches him, and then he releases him, and then he comes to the Prophet and he says, this guy came to me, he did this and that, he told me this and that. And then the Prophet says, well, he's the Satan, but he actually told the truth, even though he's a liar. So essentially, what I'm saying is this: if Somaliland, as Somalilanders, we see recognition as
That's
our right.
it's not the same parallel. So if you could
No,
just
no, no, no.
answer,
I'm
if
just
you can answer my
explaining.
question. No,
Well,
I'm not trying to interrupt you.
well,
Netanyahu's
I
not
will
from no
answer the
hadith,
question, but
Saeed. Netanyahu's not
no,
from
no,
no
no, no, no.
hadith, right? Netanyahu's not
Well,
from
he
no
asked
hadith.
me
He
the
ain't gonna
question.
tell you
Why
the
don't you
truth
let me? Well,
ever.
you guys asked me the
Shabbat,
question. Let me
Shabbat
finish.
Shalom. Sorry, go ahead, Said.
Do you want me to answer the way you want, or do you want to hear my answer? I don't know which one is
No,
it.
I asked you the question. Answer it.
Yeah. So regarding the issue, the recognition, our stance is that we have a legal, a historical, and moral right to be recognized. We want to be our own state, and we will do everything in our capacity to be recognized. But at the same time, we're not going to accept the relocation of the Palestinians. I made that very clear. We see recognition as an existential issue, and we want to be recognized. But a lot of people are spreading
Look,
propaganda.
Said, I understand that, and I think you made a
Yeah,
fair point there. I'm not
yes,
like you. I'm not pushing back on that. I think you made a fair
yeah.
point there. But you never answered my question in regards to the kind of devil point. And the reason I'm saying it, I'm not trying to hone in on that because I'm trying to understand your psychology. Like, is it because like I could be like, look, this is my opinion. I know I'm on the right. Even if the devil agrees with me, that's irrelevant to me because he's evil. He has
Yes,
like whatever it may be. But it's
essentially.
irrelevant to me. But or is it that actually even the devil, I will take the agreement of the devil because actually at least somebody's agreeing with me.
No,
I'm
no,
saying
no,
which
no.
one is it?
It is. If you actually go back to the tweet, it says if the devil acknowledges the reality on the ground. So that's actually my premise. My premise is that the devil, I already know I am in the right. And if the devil acknowledges that reality or that truth, well, I don't care about the devil. I care about that reality. That's why I said it is not who recognizes us; it is the recognition itself that matters to us.
Your
So
own
yeah,
your own recognition,
yeah,
right? Or do you
exactly.
mean the Israeli recognition?
No, no, I won't.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Yes, yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
why that's why I asked to clarify. Okay, no
Yeah.
problem. And so
Forget about what Islam says about those who oppress
Well,
others. Suleiman,
no,
you
right?
know,
no, but
that
Thank you.
no,
represent
but he
you.
just
You don't speak
no,
for
but
Islam,
Hudan,
so
he did
don't bring religion
one
into
No,
second.
no,
this.
I'm
You're
not
talking
talking
about
to him.
politics.
I'm
Wait,
just
say it 1 second. Hudan, I mean, on the space he did
Somalia is not
say
a Somalia.
on
So
guys, you need to
Can
stop.
we can we
So
speak, brother?
on bro, we've literally listen, brother. We've literally got I'd probably say 100 people requesting. The fact that you're on the panel and you're gonna get a chance to speak before them, you should be appreciative of that. Like
The
the
audacity.
next person who's on the space and says that, I'm gonna drop them and then replace them with somebody else, and that way you'll see you'll be back of the queue then, and it won't be Rosa Parks style because it's not based on color. So coming back to be fair, basically on this specific space. Said has said that he's condemned the genocide in Gaza and he's condemned Israel for it. I think the other concern, and he said that he's against the relocation of the Palestinians, the ethnic cleansing of the 1.5 million Palestinians into Somaliland. Said, I think the only other than based on what you said, the only other issue that people have is this point in terms of Israel. I'm talking about. Obviously, there's other points that we're going to discuss in the spaces. The recognition from Israel is irrelevant because Israel in itself is not even a legitimate state. Israel in itself is an apartheid state. And so when one is someone, for example, if I was the head of Somaliland, I wouldn't have first of all went to a meeting with Netanyahu because his recognition is irrelevant. If anything, it harms your cause. It harms the conversation that you may legitimately have. And actually, I do believe that, for example, what happened in 87 to 89 was was without a shadow of a doubt a massacring of the people, and possibly was a genocide as well because it was specifically targeting of people, possibly based on their racial, based on their clan. But when you when your leader goes to Israel to get recognition of a state whose recognition is irrelevant. Because if you went to the United States of America, I think many of us would be like, okay, why are you going to the US? But actually, there's some kind of credibility to that because if US recognizes you, you're basically going to be recognized, right? So I understand the kind of basis behind that. But when you're getting the evil, genocidal, homicidal, nation terrorist state to recognize you when there is no impact on that other than people actually probably delegitimizing your cause more than anything else. I think that's another point that people are question mark. People have. What's your thoughts on that?
I think. Well, first of all, this is going to be the last thing I say, but I think you will. If you I think look into the history of Somaliland and what we have been trying to do over the past 34 years, you will understand our position.
No,
We've
no, I
been,
understand it. I
yeah,
know
yeah.
Look, I know
So
African history really well, and I know Somali
yeah,
history
yeah.
well. But
So
continue.
we've been subjected to all those horrible things that you talked about. We rebuilt our country from the ashes of devastation. We've been nice with those Arab countries, whatever Muslim countries. We've been reaching out to them. They've been ignoring us. Some of them, like Turkey, are literally so deficient in our own state. They're taking advantage of tribal grievances and stuff, and they are weaponizing. Tribal differences within Somaliland. They are arming the state of Somalia, which we see as an existential threat. Whether you disagree or agree with me, it doesn't matter to us because we see Somalia as an existential threat to our safety, to our security, and to the existence of our state. And if Turkey is arming Somalia to the teeth, they have the largest military base in Somalia. They arm that genocidal state,
Said,
and
by the way, I'm not disagreeing with what
no,
you're
no, no.
saying.
But I'm
You're
giving
not
you the
answering my question.
context. I'm giving you the
Oh, okay.
context.
For the
If
audience here, fine. Go
yeah,
ahead. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah, I'm
Sorry.
just giving you the context. If Turkey and Egypt and Qatar are arming Somalia to the teeth, and we see it as an existential threat, and every other state is ignoring, our pleas, then we have no option than to reach out to Israel. We're not reaching out so that the Palestinians can be relocated to Somalia. I already told you that we rejected that. Our people won't even actually accept it. I'm just telling you that that's just the truth. The government won't even actually try to accept that because it will essentially be kicked out by the people. That's just a fact. But if
What will be kicked out of the people? Sorry, I missed that. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
sorry,
talking
carry on.
about the citizens. They will never accept the Palestinians to be
No,
kicked
no,
out of
that's
their
not the
land.
question I asked. I think you're not answering the question I asked, but hopefully you understood it.
Yeah.
It's not about you already said that you were against it, so I didn't ask you the same question
No,
again
no, but
because
I'm just giving you. So
okay.
wasn't your question like whatever, like
No,
our
but I
president?
asked the question before you answered it. If you can just specific, because there's a lot of people requesting, as
Yeah,
you said, and I do want to hear other people's thoughts, and
yeah. Go
maybe the
ahead.
other people have the same opinion as you, and
Yeah,
maybe want to present in a different way who are pro
yeah,
Somaliland. And if you are, send me a message. But just on that specific question, if you can answer it, go ahead, please.
yeah. This is. I mean, I think the only reason that Somaliland is, shall I say, working or having reaching out to Israel to have a diplomatic relations is because we have no other option. That's just the reality. And those Arab states, whatever Muslim states have been ignoring us for 30 plus years. And when it comes to a matter of existential threat, as I just described, what Turkey is doing in Somalia, we have no other option but to have diplomatic relations with Israel, and I will defend that. But I will never sacrifice, or our people will never sacrifice the existence or whatever the relocation of the Palestinians. But we will do everything else. Other than that, we will do everything else to survive, to have our own state. But I will ask the panel what this question, if you allow me. If the Palestinian position is that they reject our own existence, if they reject our state, why should we? I'm not even, as I told you, I hope the Palestinians will have their own state. But to just put this out there, if the state of Palestine rejects the state of Somaliland, then why should we care about the state of Palestine and what
Well,
happens to?
two reasons, Said. Because one is there's a genocide going on in Gaza, and the second reason is that the problem you have is, and this is, I think you didn't answer my question because I think the question kind of cause an issue for you,
No, can you
is
repeat the
that your
question?
leader, because your leader went to Israel and
Yes.
has basically in bed with Israel. And so therefore, if somebody is in bed with the person or the people who are murdering and genociding me, then of course I'm gonna be on against them. And so that's the reason for it. And this is why I asked you the question, which I don't, and you've not answered. And I think the reason you've not
No, I
answered is
just I
because
just literally answered it. I said we have no other option but
yeah,
to.
but again, it doesn't answer the question because your point is this. Your point is we have no option but go to an evil genocidal
But
state and to recognize us.
but
But
why
my
why
point is
why are
this.
you ignoring Salaman? Why are you
No,
ignoring that the state of Somalia, which is an existential threat to us, is
I
being
didn't.
armed by
I
Turkey
didn't.
and by Egypt?
I didn't.
What
One
are you?
second, Said.
What, I mean, what do you
One
expect the
second, Said.
Somalilanders to do? To
One
just
second.
sit and
Said.
wait?
Said. I did not ignore it. I actually said it and I acknowledged it. So either
So
you
what
have
is the
listening.
alternative?
Wait, 1 second. Either you have listening skills or you're being overly emotional. And I
I
don't
am
blame you
not.
being emotional based on the situation. But that being said, please listen to the words I'm saying because I feel like I'm being very fair and balanced towards you and giving you a chance. And even though the vast majority of the audience probably disagrees with you, and what I'm saying is this: I'm not talking about whether Somaliland it should be recognized or not. I've allowed you to present your argument in a fair manner based on what your thoughts are on that. Where I believe that you've not answered the question is because your claim is that you have no choice, that there is no other region, no other country who's willing to recognize you, and therefore you have to be recognized by this evil, genocidal terrorist state. And my point against that was to you to say that A, they are evil, genocidal, and terrorists, but the other point I made, which is the second component of it, which you overlooked, is that this evil, genocidal, terrorist state actually has no power, has no, in terms of their recognition, is of no value because that doesn't recognize Somaliland. Now, I said that, for example, the United States of America, if you, and I gave you this example, I said, if you'd been recognized by the US, despite some of the things that the US has done in the Middle East, that would be a different conversation because you know that when they recognize you, actually you will become a legitimate state. But when Israel recognizes you, you don't become a legitimate state, and you look like you're basically in bed with an evil genocidal state. Which, when after what's happened to people within within the area of Somaliland, it almost becomes, as Hoda said, and I agree with her on this point, it becomes a contradiction. And I'm saying you're not answering that specific point.
Yeah, I'm going to finish it in one minute. First of all, I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity, even though I think that I've been interrupted a couple of times. I'm actually fine with it. But
Well, that wasn't me. That
it's
wasn't me.
okay.
That
It's
was the
okay.
chicks.
No, I'm
That was the
completely.
chick side.
Well, I
You
wanted.
can't blame a man. You can't blame a man for chick behavior.
I won't. I'm not blaming you. I just think Holland has been basically she's been listened to, and there is only one narrative that is being promoted here. You know, it's your
Well,
space.
that's
It
not
is.
true. Wait, say that's not true. I've allowed you to have a very long statement about your position. I've allowed you to retort.
Yeah.
We've
Thank you.
allowed you to one second. We've allowed you to retort. Now, the only reason you got interrupted now is because you made some false accusations about my space. When in reality, I would say I'm one of the only spaces that allows a wide range of views, a wide range of ideas, and a wide range of thoughts. And even when I've conversed with you, it's more from a question perspective where people legitimately on the space and on social media have these questions. And if you're able to present a very cogent and strong argument against it, it actually benefits you. So, for example, when you said, guess what? I'm against the ethnic cleansing of 1.5 million Palestinians, that actually benefited you and your cause, because actually people were like, okay, it seems like people from Somaliland actually aren't against this, because everything else we've been seeing on X, everything else we've been hearing on Spaces is the other perspective. So I think it's very unfair of you to make that statement when it's actually
Well,
quite completely inaccurate. But do continue.
I will take it back. I'll be completely honest. I think your spaces are good, and I'll walk back on that. So I apologize for that. The only thing I'm gonna say is that politics is messy. The world is very complicated. Even America has done a lot of bad things. You guys know that, whether it been Iraq, whether it been somewhere else, whatever. You know, idealism doesn't save you in the world. Sometimes you'll make tough choices. Sometimes you have to prioritize the survival without compromising maybe too much. You will be forced to make tough choices. Somaliland is facing existential threat. China, Turkey, and some powerful countries are waging a war in the eastern regions of Somaliland. We see this. We think we are facing existential times, and we don't have a lot of options. And I think if you if you follow what is happening in the Horn of Africa, you will probably understand a lot of things. But the last thing I'm going to say is we're against the displacement of the Palestinians. We're against what's happening. We hope the Israelis and the Israel is not going to go away. The Palestinians are not going to go away. I think to think that Israel will go away will be absolutely naive, and it won't bring any solution. So the Israelis and the Palestinians have to find a way to live together, whether that be one state, whether that be two states. That is up to them, but they have to find a way to live. But the state of Palestine, I think, as far as if the state of Palestine rejects our existence and keep siding with the genocidal state of Somalia, I think a lot of our people even though they have a lot of sympathy for that state right now because of what is happening, I think you will see a lot of Somalilanders losing their sympathy with because at the end of the day, if I am facing an existential threat, if 200,000 of my own people were massacred by the genocidal state of Somalia, and you are siding with that state, then I will have no option but to lose respect for you. But I haven't lost my respect for the Palestinians. I hope they will have their own state. I sincerely hope they have there. I have many Palestinian friends in college. Some of my professors in college were Palestinian. They were. I have nothing against the Palestinians, but politics is a complicated game. We have our own problems. They have their own problems. If we have diplomatic relations with Israel, that doesn't mean we're erasing their history. That doesn't mean we are erasing their identity. That just means just as Turkey had, Turkey, for example, has relations with Israel. They have more than I think they have multi-billion trade deal with like some sort of trade deal with Israel. I was talking about Egypt is signing 35 billion dollar deal with Israel. I think it was gas, some sort of a gas deal. They have diplomatic relations with them. So many states have diplomatic relations with Israel, who, by the way, are not who have other options. We don't have many options, but most of those states have other options. They can cut ties with Israel if they want, but they want to lecture us about having diplomatic relations with Israel, even though we don't have many options, but they have multiple options. As I said, the state of Somalia, the president of Somalia gave an interview not long ago, and he literally said, they tried, by the way, not only the president, they actually tried it multiple times. But Hassan Sheikh Mohamud, who is the current president of Somalia, on the record, I think it was maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago, he gave an interview saying that they recognize the existence of the state of Israel and that they will be willing to join the Abraham Accords. So if you hear a lot of Somalians like hold on crying, don't take them seriously. That's my conclusion.
If you mention me, I'll disrupt you. So keep your money.
Oh my God, Saeed, you're such a freaking slow learner. Have you not got that yet? Don't mention her. She won't interject. Like, what is it? Women work in the same way. If you mention me, I'm going to jump
Thank you,
in. If you mention her,
Khaleesi.
then she's
Thank
going to
you.
jump in.
I couldn't agree.
If I
Just let
could
her
jump
that.
in for a second, thank
I
you,
couldn't
Said.
agree,
And
but that's why I couldn't agree anymore with Lucy. She's absolutely on point. Thank you.
thank you. Women are always on point. Santino, take notes. Said, thank you. Listen. This is not personal. This is just. I think we Somalis see things differently, and I respect you immensely for wanting what's best for your part of the country, right? Essentially, though, I want to maybe just kind of reiterate or maybe debunk some of the things that you've alleged in the last 5 minutes that you've been speaking. Um, the atrocities, borderline genocide that Mohammed Siad and his regime committed. I don't know a single Somali who doesn't condemn that, right? That, by the way, while that atrocity was happening, there are many Somalis who, and this is why the civil war came about, right? Is because of the oppression of Siad Barre. And that's why many of the armed groups, including SNM, were formed, including the USC, including SSDF. So many armed groups formed. This is why we had the state collapse. Because of what happened in Hargeisa, when Siad Barre took a plane to bomb a certain clan in Somalia, right? I think the writing became very clear. And this is why you had all these armed groups come up. And if you read history, there are Somalis who bravely protested. And even there's a man that I think Hargeisa honored recently who refused to bomb and took the plane and landed in Djibouti, right? So the crimes that were committed by the dictatorship of Siad Barre does not speak of all Somalis. Since the fall of Siad Barre, you see the destruction of and the legacy of Siad Barre. While the North started to rebuild, and we give you a lot of credit for the rebuilding that you have done, but it is not, a beautiful rebuilding, right? Like we know within internal politics of Somaliland, it is very fragmented. And just as of late, that government in itself committed atrocities in Las Anod. Just 3 weeks ago, what was happening in Borome and all those places. So bloodshed continues across Somalia. So let's not sanitize, right? Anyone who speaks openly about anything gets jailed in Hargeisa. So it's not a fledgling democracy. There's a lot of, propaganda that the Zionist folks and the people in Washington who are trying to get you recognized behind the scenes are spreading, right? You have your challenges, but I give you, there's a lot of things that Somaliland has done that we as Somalis are proud of. I am not here to hate on Somaliland. What we are saying is, Somalis need to figure out how to manage their affairs in a way that they understand each other more than what Netanyahu, genocidal maniac, understands. And I'll tell you another thing, and this is where I'm going to land, Khalisi. Netanyahu and the terrorist state of Israel has no interest in Somaliland because it wants to be nice and recognize Somaliland. It is an exchange, it is an exploitative, it is a genocidal state. Like I don't know how many ways we can say that, right? It wants something from you. And it's not because you're beautiful people and you're nice Muslim people. No, they are going to come and rape your land and rape your women and do all kinds of things. And maybe I take that back. Literally, what they've been doing to Palestine is not going to be any different than what they're going to be doing. And not only that, the geopolitics that
But
they are creating,
yeah,
Yemen being right there, the
j-
Houthis already
yeah,
publicly saying that if Israel shows up in Somaliland, they will be responding. So now you've brought that kind of
yeah.
chaos into our region.
Mm.
Thanks, Hodan. Just one thing, really quickly, right? I've got to give my props to Saeed, and I think he's dropped because I think from his perspective, he was very sincere. Um, he has a position for Palestinians, and I just want it to be clear that from I know there's a lot of people from Somalia and Somaliland on here. I'm talking about this from an internal perspective. And I appreciate both perspectives, but from an external perspective, from my perspective, I'm not um, taking a judgment, right, on people wanting self-determination in Somaliland, right? There's no judgment there. There's no hypocrisy of that. I think, and I think Saeed would appreciate this. People just feel a bit sensitive because it's Israel and what Israel has done. And for me personally, the question that comes to my mind, and with that we will actually go on to Mursal, is the fact that the president of Somaliland went there. Yes, there are Abraham Accords, right? If you listen to our spaces, you know how we feel about those. Yes, you're right, Saeed. There was a gas deal between Egypt and Israel, and Turkey does business with Israel, and so do many other countries across the world who speak up against the genocide. Yes, they all do. And we don't talk positively about any of it. But here, I haven't seen, and maybe somebody can tell me, a trade deal. I haven't seen a gas deal. I haven't seen a natural resources deal between Somaliland and Israel. So what makes me think is, what did the president give away when he went and visited in October? Why are we not seeing it? What kind of an alliance is this? Israel is recognizing this. Israel spoke at the United Nations to recognize this today and spoke about the fact that Somaliland deserved its self-determination, etc., etc. Why is Israel doing this? What has Israel been promised in return? I don't see that yet. So maybe someone can tell me that. But let's go to Mursal.
Just,
Mursal, thank you so much for
just,
waiting.
just before you go to
Yes, sorry,
Mursal,
go on.
just a couple of things, guys. If you could first of all retweet the space. The second thing is there's a tweet in the. Oh, by the way, put your notifications on. Go to my profile, hit follow, put the notifications on. We'll be doing another space on this tomorrow as well to get more deeper into this. We've got like hundreds of people requesting, and not everybody's had a chance to speak. So we'll definitely try and get as many people up to have a chance to speak over the next day or two. So if you can do that, go to my profile. There's a bell there. Put the bell on and put the notifications on, and you'll be made aware when the spaces go live. The other thing is there's a tweet in the nest, which is a YouTube video I did about, I think it's like a month ago, maybe longer, 2 months ago, which demonstrates the fraud done by the Orthodox Jewish community in New York and how all these right wingers are quiet about it, which demonstrates that actually it's not really about fraud. It was specifically about targeting the Somali community in the United States of America. Because if they were consistent, they would be calling out all forms of fraud. But the fact that it is specifically the Somali community that they are attacking demonstrates that this is hypocrisy. So if you go to that tweet, you go to the video in the nest, follow my YouTube, but also you'll see the evidence in there. Billions upon billions of dollars of fraud not spoken about. But anyway, do that for me, guys. And let's go to Mursal. Mursal, jump in with your thoughts. Sorry, you've been waiting a while.
Well, thank you very much, Brother Sulaiman. I want to really express my gratitude for you holding this space tonight. I believe, before I go any further, that Brother Said, while I may disagree vehemently with some of his views, is a sincere brother who I kind of felt really that he may have missed an opportunity early on to make his position regarding the Palestinians and their plight very clear, but he did at the end. And holding spaces like this to have a civic discussion in a civilized, respectful manner is very important. Uh, just a little bit of background on myself. For those of you who don't know, I'm a current member of parliament in the Federal Republic of Somalia. I want to touch on few of the topics here. Uh, First and foremost, regarding the recognition by the genocidal, racist, and colonial regime of Netanyahu to parts of northern Somalia as a sovereign state. Uh, it's really an understatement to say that it violates international law. You cannot recognize part of another state that's sovereign as a new state because otherwise it would create all sorts of problems across the globe. As someone earlier mentioned, there are about 70 plus separatist or secessionist movements within sovereign states across the world, over 30 in Africa alone. With regards to the Netanyahu regime's intent, we all know, and it was discussed very well even on this program tonight, the kind of atrocities and genocide that it has not only committed against the Palestinians, but other Muslim and Middle Eastern populations in the region. What they will only bring to the Horn of Africa and specifically to Somalia with this recognition is a series of wars, both proxy and direct, which will shed more blood in a region of the world that can least afford more bloodshed. The question we ought to be asking is. We know Netanyahu offered recognition to parts of northern Somalia that call themselves Somaliland. What is Netanyahu getting in return? It's either he's getting a place to involuntarily deport and uproot almost 2 million Palestinians, or he's getting a military base to wreak more havoc in the region and attack other countries from, or both. Uh, I am yet to hear from the government, or the administration, I should say, in that part of northern Somalia, what they are offering in return for that recognition. We know diplomatic relations, especially in this context, nothing is offered for free. So there is that question we ought to be asking ourselves and demanding an answer. Secondly, what are we going to see moving forward? Is this going to be uh, something that leads to other countries lining up to recognize Somaliland or that part of northern Somalia? Or will it just be a prior genocidal colonial state that has offered something that is not going to add any value? I think more of the latter, that this will not add anything of significance. And by the way, aside from whatever the genocidal Netanyahu is getting in return, that was promised by the leader of the Somaliland administration, I think what he wanted mostly was to create a distraction from the fact that he has committed this genocide and continues to commit this genocide against the Palestinians in Gaza, and the fact that he is intentionally uh, delaying or intentionally wanting to not execute the ceasefire that the Americans have mediated. We know that the Israeli regime under Netanyahu's leadership are still killing, are still destroying homes, killing children and women and civilians by the hundreds, by the thousands every day and week. Uh, the context of that and why most of the world is still silent is a topic for another day. But the distraction to not implement that ceasefire is really what he's seeking. And he has received that because now the UN Security Council today was not discussing what they should have discussed, which is why that ceasefire is not being implemented, why the Palestinians are not being allowed to live, come back and live peacefully in their homes, which the Israeli army under Netanyahu's uh, orders were forcefully removed from. And then the final question that we have to be thinking about is uh, what will this mean in the larger geopolitical context? We have listened to the UN Security Council today. The American ambassador said, kind of tried to double speak and please everyone by saying Israel has a right to recognize and we shouldn't be discussing this today. But at the same time, she said that the US position on Somalia has not changed, which can be interpreted as recent as last year, when the regime of Abiy Ahmed in Ethiopia tried to get a memorandum of understanding with a promise to recognize parts of northern Somalia. The US has stated its position that it respects the sovereignty, independence, and territorial integrity of Somalia. So that's the extension of it. However, the UK, which is the former colonial power that many people from that part of northern Somalia claim has given them independence and that they have been very friendly with, has stated unequivocally that the UK respects the territorial integrity and sovereignty of the Federal Republic of Somalia. One of the key
Thank you,
things.
Mursal. You make. I just want to interject and say you made some really interesting points there. I just want to take some other perspectives on what you've said. Really appreciate you being on the panel to give an official position from Somalia, and I think one of the very important points you've made, which I did follow what happened in the UN today, Israel speaking about Somaliland, but you're absolutely right. It took away the opportunity for people to actually focus on why the ceasefire in Gaza wasn't implemented. I really appreciate that. I want to just get to some of the other hands. I don't know, Santino, whose hand was it Zara, Hamid, Hassan? I know, and Yahya,
Oh, sorry.
yeah.
Yeah, no, I was going to say Hassan has been waiting quite patiently for about an hour now, so I would believe he would be next on the panel. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you. And the rest of the guys, I see just a couple of hands up. If you want to speak, please put your hand up. If not, we will be rotating mics. But go ahead, Hassan. Thank you for waiting patiently.
Hello, guys. Good evening. Assalamu alaikum, brothers Suleiman, Khaleesi, Santino. And I would really like to thank all of you three in giving the Somali community its voice in terms of this topic. I would appreciate that. Firstly, one disclaimer, which is it's people are talking about Somaliland as that it was some sort of existing republic, existing historical republic. But the truth is that there was never a state called Somaliland. There was never a republic. Somalia, the people, our brothers from the northern Somalia, this portion that wants to secede from the rest of Somalia, they portray the Somalia as two republics that came together. just like how the UAR. So when Egypt and Syria formed a union, that's not the case. The reality is that it was two entities, which was under British control, British protectorate, joined a proper functioning state, which was under Italian trusteeship between 1949 and 1960. So if it was two republics that were joining each other, the matter would have been very easy, and they would have had a precedent, they would have had a legitimacy, and the world would have supported that. Just how the UAR, the United Arab Republic, formally ended between Egypt and Syria. That's why this case needs to be very much looked at. Also, northern Somalia consists of 5 regions: Awdal, Northwest, Togdel, Sol, and Senag. There are only 2.5 regions of that 5 regions in the north. Only 2.5 regions wants to secede, and even within those 1.5 regions, the expression of unionist sentiments are banned. You're not allowed to carry the Somali flag, the blue flag. You're not allowed to express any unionist sentiment. It's the entity called Somaliland. I don't call it Somaliland. I call it Northwestern Secession State. They don't allow any sentiment for union, and they are basically like North Korea. You're not allowed to express any other views other than theirs. They want to portray the world as a free democratic. They want that this is a facade. This is a hoax. This is a facade. This is a mirage. This is not the case. You are not allowed in Hargeisa to express any views other than the views of Villa Hargeisa. Recently, 2-3 weeks ago, there was an uprising in the city called Borama, in the Audo state. This region, it's a unionist region, but the people are repressed. The people are silenced. The people are brutalized. They are not allowed to freely express themselves. The politicians from that region are bought. They are given money by Hargeisa to stay silent. They are repressed, and also 2 or 3 years ago there was a genocide in Lasanod, which was in a city in the Senag in the Seoul region. They were bombarded for 9 months continuously, day and night. Men and women were butchered. There was basically wells were destroyed, infrastructure was destroyed. These people are an absolute menace to the Somali community. They don't represent the Somali community. They are a minority within a minority. I wouldn't even say they are basically they represent that clan, because it's mainly from that clan. But not everyone from that clan supports this. It's a loud minority, and we would like to tell the world and express the non-Somali community that this sentiment of this genocidal um, um, perpetrators that are supporting the dispossession of our brothers and sisters of Palestinians, uh, they don't really represent us. The 99.9% of the Somali people reject this actions, and this is what we like to the world to know. And thank you for giving me the platform.
Appreciate it, guys. Okay, yeah, I can see someone from Somalia. Guys, if you, if you can do me a favor, because there's so many people requesting, when we go to you, if you can just keep your comments a bit shorter if possible, because if everyone goes on for like 3 to 5 minutes, especially when we're so late into the space, not everyone's going to get a chance to speak. And honestly, there's a lot of mic requests, and a lot of people probably gave up as well. So let's go to, let me bring this person up 1 second. Here we go. Awesome, just to give a bit of balance. But let's go to Zara. Zara, jump in with your views.
Oh, hi, salam alaikum, everyone. First of all, I want to say thank you for the platform. This is the first platform that actually people are listening to each other. I've been listening to few other platforms for the past couple of days and it was chaotic. So I just want to say thank you for holding this space and controlling this space and giving everyone a chance to speak and share their views. So I think I'm going to keep it short because most of the things that we're actually going to talk about was covered by Hodan and I think the brother Ahmed that just went down. But I think I just wanted to add, because I have realized a lot of people that are non-Somalis having a difficult to understand, figuring out why the people that are speaking for Somaliland are supporting a genocidal regime. And I think it all goes back to the reason that the Somalilanders, which basically is a tribal idea, it's not a country, it's not a state, it has never been a country or a state. What they have done is they hijacked the name that what used to be called British Somaliland, which does not exist no more because Italian Somalia and British Somaliland has joined together in 1960. So what they have done is because to beautify what they want to do and justify what they're doing, they hijacked the name and trying to get back what used to be called British Somaliland. But in reality, it's just a tribal idea. So the reason that most of the Somalilanders that speak on these platforms or most of the places, the reason that they support Netanyahu and they justify what is happening to the Palestinian people at the moment is because both of them believe ethnic cleansing, which is doing whatever they need to do in order to control the borders that they're claiming. So basically, what the Somaliland regime believes is in order to get recognition, they need to be able to control the borders that used to be known as the British Somaliland. But the issue that they keep having for the last 35 years so I'm coming down with a cold. So, so the issues that they're having for the last 35 years is they're not able to control the land that's owned by other tribes that are pro-Somalia, that are pro-unionist. So what they have done is they chose a way of chosen supremacy, which is in order to be able to represent what Somaliland is and the idea to sell that is in state and it deserves to have recognition, what they need to do is suppress other tribes that live there. So, for example, what they did and I think Brother Ahmed was talking about in 2020 state of the country, which is the British Somaliland. What they have done is they have committed genocide. They have killed children. They have bombed for 9 months. In the cities called Las Anod, Herigabo. They have bombed hospitals, mosques. There's actually people that have been killed while they were fasting and praying. So these people that want to come up here and talk about, we are Muslims and this is we are looking for recognition because we have gone through struggles. Actually, they're the one who's committing these crimes since 1991. So in starting from 1991, if you go back or if you look the historical things or the crimes that happened in the north was actually committed by the regime Somaliland. For example, in Awdal in 1991, they have committed genocide against the tribes called Gadabursey, which live in Awdal states or northern Somalia. Another thing is they used to, and I think a lot of people haven't spoken about this. What they used to do in 2023 is when they were bombing Las Ano, they used to call the victims the Palestinian of Somalia. So, which is quite sad because I'm actually from that place, and I have lost a lot of families from that used to live there. So what they used to do is they used to take pictures and basically and they used to write the Palestinians of Somalia, basically saying that they are weak, just like the Palestinians, and we have the right to kill them in order to take their land. Um, sorry. So I think we need to be able to actually understand
Hmm.
what the reason behind why these people that are claiming to be Muslims, that are claiming to be anti-oppression, that playing the victim card of saying that, you know, we are actually anti-oppression, we have been suppressed and abused and done all of these things has been done to us from the previous the government of Somalia, but in reality, they are actually the ones that for the last 35 years has been committed the same crimes that they are claiming that have been done to them.
Hmm.
Since 1991, it has not been one documented crime that has happened in Hargeisa, that has happened in Berbera, that has happened in Bur'o, which is most of the cities that are owned by Isaac tribe. But it's been documented that the other people or the other Somali tribes that are pro Somalia has been committed, oppressed, killed, basically just the simple thing of saying I'm from Somalia. So in Hargeisa or in Berber or in Bur'o, if they see anyone with a Somalian flag, they will literally unalive that person on the spot. And they would justify that because they would say the more people that speak up against us, the more people that
Thanks for
speak
that, Zara.
against
Zara, if you could just wrap up your point, because
yeah,
yeah.
I'm going to wrap up this. So I think the reason that we need to actually look back into the complexity of what is going on in the northern Somalia, we need to actually look and understand that they believe the same thing that Netanyahu believes, which is in order to gain what I want, which is a land and a state and someone else's house that do not belong to me, I need to kill the people that live there. That is the only reason they justify what is happening in Palestine. That is the only reason they
Yeah.
agree with what Israel is doing. I just wanted to share that.
Thanks for
Thank
that,
you.
Zara. Marianne, I brought you up because I looked at your profile. I think you've got a different opinion, although I brought you up like 10 times, so I don't know what's wrong with your mic. Marianne, what's your thoughts on the current conversation?
No, hi. Can you hear me? It's just my connection is not really good. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you, yeah. And your connection is horrible, yeah.
Yeah. In terms of Somaliland people, I'm one of I was not born in Somaliland, but I was from my family from Somaliland. Um, Somaliland was independent of 1960. It was a sovereign country. The narrative of Somalia and the fake narrative and the false narrative of Somalia, the first false state of Somalia and spreading of Somali land is a false. As the Somaliland nations, it was independent for last 35 years, and they get independent in 1960. We have struggling in terms of recognition, and Somalian people been voicing and our struggles for last 35 years, and for us to hear us right now is a good thing, and we want a recognition. We want to be independent nations. We were independent nation for last 35 years. And for Somali to say the false state of Somalia, the terrorist country of Somalia, the full of Shabab, I don't agree with it. Fuck them. Because
Okay. Marianne, maybe you're not used to, or maybe you're used to other spaces where there's a lack of civility, and you can act in a unruly manner, but this isn't the space for it, first of all. The second thing is, don't use obscene language on this space. We do have young people who listen to this space because they want to learn and be educated. Clearly, if you don't have the ability, sorry, let me rephrase that. If you don't have the ability to do that, then I will kindly remove you from the space. But because you probably weren't used to this space, and you're probably used to a lot of these kind of crazy spaces, what I'm hearing about, what have happened over the last few days, where people are just screaming and swearing at each other, nobody knows what's going on, then I'm gonna assume that that's what you thought. This.
No, no, I don't.
Wait, why are you interrupting me? So I ask you not to be unruly, and I ask you to show some civil behavior, and then immediately you interrupt. So I'm gonna give you one last chance to try and act in a dignified manner and control yourself. And I'm just asking you to remain civil and to put your position across without acting in the manner that you've been acting. Do can finish your point.
No, I'm really civil. It's just like really mad in terms of what people saying. I do apologize. Yeah, I don't normally talk this rhetoric. Yeah, but in terms because my family, where I came from, I know the struggle of Somalilanders. I know the genocide will come to Siad Barre, and he killed almost 200,000 of my people. That's why I was mad. I'm really apologize for
No
that.
problem.
Yeah,
And
I don't
no
normally
problem.
use that
No
language.
problem. No
Yeah,
problem. And
yeah.
I think nobody agrees. I mean, everybody agrees with your argument about. But now let's go to Santina. Was there something you were gonna add?
Yes, I just wanted. We have a question in the comments. Please ask your guests if people are unionists in the north, why is Somalia afraid to give them a referendum? That was the question that somebody wanted you to ask, or you can answer as well. So I just want to throw that out there, please. And everybody, could you please go down that purple pill? We have well over 900 people in here. At one point, we had over 1,000. Can you please kindly retweet the space, like and share the space, and quote and share the space? And this is a phenomenal space, by the way. So I'm really pleased with you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Santina. You're doing a great job. As is Khaleesi, Karen.
Yes, Khaleesi's the head honcho here. Yep.
Okay, I wouldn't go that far, Santina.
He said that begrudgingly, Santino. Did you not pick up? It was like an afterthought, as is
Well,
Khaleesi.
I
But I
was
love you,
thinking which way to
Santino, so I
go,
don't
but I
mind you
was
I
like,
getting
love you
praised.
more. I love you more.
okay. Let's go to Karen. Uh,
But Suleiman, I'm gonna leave you. Let me finish my
I
sentence
thought you
because
did.
you moved
I thought you
me.
finished.
Yeah, no, I didn't. I didn't
All
do
right,
that.
okay. Wrap up.
And the people of Somaliland is a sovereign nation. It was independent since 1960, and a lot of people they don't know the history. For you guys to know the history of Somaliland, we struggle for last 35 years. And for Somaliland, the narrative right now, the spreading lies against Somaliland, and I just want to say, Somaliland is the independent country, and we will stay as an independent. We never ever unite with Somaliland with Somalia. Thank you.
Cool. I want to go to Karen. Karen, it says you're from the north, a proud northern Somali. So if you want to answer Santino's question, Santino had a question.
Suleiman, I think we've heard about 3-4 people with the same views, and then Marian after. So why didn't you bring me in?
Okay. Yeah, you're getting dropped. Like I said, there's so many people requesting. Um, so it's quite simple.
The question I was
Yeah.
asking, the question that the person was asking was, if people are unionists in the north, why is Somalia afraid to give them a referendum? A very simple question.
Uh,
Hi, can I answer that
yeah, go
question?
for it.
Okay, so there has been a referendum in Somalia. In 1961, there was a referendum on the constitution of Somalia, and basically the constitution implied, will the union be ratified, or would we like not ratify the union? And
Karen, your volume is really low. If you can increase your volume, that would be
what
brilliant.
about now? Can you hear me
Oh,
now?
perfect. Yeah, it's perfect. It's perfect. Go ahead.
Okay. So there has been a referendum in Somalia in 1961, basically when the secessionist tribe attempted a coup to forcefully secede from the country. There was a referendum in 1961 and they lost the referendum. The other thing is, things do not work the point blank way that things work in other countries in Somalia. You cannot hold the referendum for one tribe, and that completely really brings down the union of Somali clans. If you guys, there's a lot of people who are here who are saying, Somaliland was once a country. How can a country be a part of the unified parliament even before independence? They were a part of the Somalia parliament even before they took independence. So if you were a country, what were you doing in the union before you gained independence? You know, so they don't really have any legal argument. And there has been a referendum in the northern part of Somalia, and like I said, Somalia is very tribal. The idea of just like holding a referendum for the north, and then what is the basis for that? You know, a referendum for the entire country was held. Let's just say a referendum for the north. What would be the basis for that? Because a lot of the clans that live in the north, they also live in the south. Um, and they would also lose that a referendum in the north, to be honest, because they are not the majority in the north. I don't think they even make up 40% of the north.
Did we lose her?
Yeah, seems so. Um, okay. The reason. So listen. I think we. Let me just quickly get to something. So like, I think we tried our best to try and get as many people in here as possible. There was somebody, a few people interrupted and was like, "Let me speak," and the way that I run the spaces is basically I try to make it interesting and try and get people from different ideas and thoughts to give their position depending on where the conversation is going. Hence why when Santino asked the question, I went to that person. It's just a skill what one has in terms of hosting these spaces to make sure that people get the information they have. Now I'm gonna do another space on this tomorrow because I feel like not everyone's had a chance to speak and not everyone's had a chance to put their views and thoughts across. Um, so do have your notifications on. The space will be tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. UK. We'll continue where we left off here. I do need to wrap up because I've got a couple of interviews I need to do, and then I need to go on to Fresh and Fit show in a couple of hours as well. So because of that, I do need to wrap up. So if you can do me a favor, if you didn't get a chance to speak, I do apologize. But I do think that the space was quite informative for a lot of people who probably weren't aware of the interdynamics between Somaliland and Somalia. I have been told that actually every other space there's been just screaming matches going on, and people haven't been able to hear people's views and positions. And this is why I do these spaces, is to inform you and people, keep people informed about different perspectives, different ideas, and different thoughts. And I think we're the only, well, I know we're the only geopolitical space to do that. And I always try and make sure we're not an echo chamber so that you can hear different perspectives whilst hearing the truth. So guys, we will be back tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern. So do have your notifications on. We will be live. And by just put your notifications on, be ready. It'll be around 4. Obviously, it might be 5-10 minutes late here and there, but generally speaking, it'll be around 4 p.m. tomorrow. So we will continue this conversation. I just want to thank every single person who came to the space. I know we've got a lot of hands up on the panel. I think we've got like nearly 50 people requesting who have not had a chance to speak. I think probably had hundreds across the space where people requested and didn't get a chance to go up. So I apologize for that. We will try and do another space on this. And if it requires more spaces on this, I'll do it. And we'll even do a really, really long one just to get everybody in on the conversation. But yeah, be ready. We'll be back tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. Want to thank every single speaker who came to the space from different perspectives. And if you do have a different perspective and your perspective wasn't heard, send me a DM and I will check the other side of my DMs to see what anyone's saying and then try and bring you up.
And guys, just really quickly, sorry, Suleiman, I just want to add, if you want to get on the panel on a busy space like this where there is so many mic requests, you've got a higher chance of getting on the panel if you come early, because then you get on the panel. Right now, we've got over 50 requests, and it's going to be really tough even if we're around the space for the next 3 hours. So do put your notifications on for Suleiman. The minute he goes live, come and request that mic. Get here before even Santino IR get here, and you'll get on the
Number
panel.
one, golden point. Number two, if you did that, there's a high chance you'll get here before Khaleesi. So it's like 2 golden points within one there, Khaleesi. Awesome. Um, so yeah, guys, do what Khaleesi said. But we'll be back tomorrow 4 p.m. Apologies, like I do feel bad that I have to wrap the space up. But if I do, I'm actually like knocking out, and I've got to like do this thing. And you know me, one thing is when I give people my word, I'm gonna go for an interview or whatever. I'd never like be late. So yeah, we'll be back tomorrow 4 p.m. Eastern. Be ready. And as Khaleesi said, the most golden point, have your notifications on, because I'm being here early, because again, tomorrow's space will probably be another like 3 hour space or so, and then we'll do a longer one maybe the day after that or the day after that. So guys, appreciate you guys joining in, appreciate you guys listening, and for sure we'll see you next time.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. And salam ya Daman, everyone.